matches kind of guy.
I don't know. Wade wasn't a fan of him even being in Intercontinental title matches. But that's Wade, there's only one way to start a podcast. Is Jeff Jarrett and how Wade feels about this man.
For anyone tuning in, we've been talking about Jeff Jarrett for about 45 minutes, and we've reached no resolution.
Wade, do you want to cut the promo, or should I just start the show?
I want to start the show.
All right, we'll circle back. We'll circle back. This is the Making a Mark Wrestling Show on the Tell Me More podcast. I'm Mac Moore. We got Wade Christensen. We got Ethan Hrabe, or Ethan Hrabe, Bebe. It's actually pretty good. It's slick. It rolls off the tongue, so I'll give you credit for this name. But at some point, this gimmick will run its course.
Yeah, they're not all going to be winners. But
we are here tonight to talk about
my live stream display name is going to have a better impact on Wade's life than Jeff Jarrett.
For sure.
On anyone's life.
We're here to talk about NXT TakeOver WarGames. And this is one of, two pay-per-views in a row that we are doing the recap within a couple days. I'm proud of us. We're not anywhere close to our peak of knocking out previews and recaps of every major pay-per-view. And not even major. We were knocking out ones for all the shitty ones when they were doing a pay-per-view a month.
Yeah. So, Stamping lands.
We're nowhere near our production level, but I promise you we will be better tonight than most of those shows because we were just trying to get through, and half the time we're just yelling about parts of the product
I blame the product, not us.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, we were yelling about things that didn't matter. We could have just moved on. And now I'm not taking the time to watch the shitty things, so we can just go to the good parts. We can just do the highlights, and only the shitty parts that are so shitty, or at least I'm interested in, that we will still argue for an hour.
I'm going to say, some of those pay-per-views, I was tasked with defending things that all I said was I didn't hate, and then you two would jump on my ass. Why do you love this so much? It's garbage. I was like,
not what happened. You started with super positive, and then you saw our faces, and then you backed down like a bitch.
No, it's because I don't love it enough to argue that much. See, you guys are just looking for a fight. You're like a couple frat boys on Friday night.
Why would I schedule a podcast and not be looking for a fight?
I just want to talk about wrestling. I don't know. I just wandered in.
It's wrestling. You, as the man who will never miss an opportunity to say, if you carry around a belt, that means you have to defend it.
Yeah.
You can't be the one that comes in and says, well, it's just wrestling. I'm not ready for a fight. You always have to be ready for a fight, Ethan. That's what wrestling is.
I'm not even wearing pants right
now. None of us are. None of us are.
That is the beauty of a pandemic and stay-at-home orders. But I want to get started talking about the pay-per-view. This was one that I enjoyed. I would say, at an 80% level of me being able to fully pay attention.
That's good.
I'm never going to get back to 100%. I just can't. I think my brain's broken. But I stopped. I even had Chiefs on the second TV. Wade waited and watched the pay-per-view later.
That's what I did. Yeah.
I got 6 monitors in my living room now. I'm multitasking. I'm knocking everything out. Not very well, but it's getting done. And I was able to watch both and pay enough attention. And starting with the women's match to kick it off, I thought it was from start to finish a really good pay-per-view. Good matches. I'm trying to think back if there was anything that particularly stood out. I have a few nitpicks that I always have, but I'm not sure there's a match that I'm like, well, that was garbage. Wade's kind of doing some weird thing with his face. I assume he has a couple, so we'll kick it to him to figure that out. But starting out, I really enjoyed WarGames. I thought it was really good. I'll start with Ethan. We'll go all positive. Then we'll move to Wade and figure out why his face made that weird, I don't know what that even was.
Spoiler alert, it's because they're all too small. We get it, Wade. No, the women's WarGames match. I was expecting a Shotzi Blackheart dive off the cage in this match. Still got a good one off the ladder. And then you have Io Shirai entering the match like the start of an episode of Jackass. Hi, I'm Io Shirai. Welcome to NXT WarGames. Down, jumping off the cage with the trash can on her head. This match was really creative, I thought. It made me really think, and I've kind of thought this before, WarGames should just start with weapons in the cage. I feel like it's a given that someone's just going to run over and just start loading tables and ladders and chairs and everything into the just put it in there like that William Regal match that he did with set up for Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. But I thought this match was very good. I thought it had a lot of ridiculous spots that looked incredibly painful. And I don't think anyone came out looking worse. And I think the person who probably needed the biggest rub in this was Raquel Gonzalez. And she got it. I couldn't really find anything wrong with this match. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I thought maybe there's little bits of... I do remember at one point of just watching Io Shirai struggling to get in the cage, but then grabbing more weapons and just like... I know it's part of building up to something else, but it's one of those things that maybe could have been masked better. Otherwise, you just kind of look like a dingus who doesn't know how to get in the cage when you have the opportunity. But I thought that in the long run, that did make the taking the advantage away of having the last person in first was an interesting part of match psychology. I thought that everyone came out looking better after this match than when they went in.
All right, Wade, you started out with the negative. Was the negative for other parts of the pay-per-view, or were you not satisfied with the women's WarGames match?
Dakota Kai sucks.
Damn.
If you're going to swing a chair, swing the fucking chair.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
I don't know what...
It was like Hulk Hogan in WCW trying to swing a chair.
Yeah, that's exactly what it reminded me of.
I did have that thought, actually.
What's up with the shitty little hammers? What was up with that?
I don't know. I felt like that should kill somebody.
If you it sucked.
Well, there goes Wade just burying Triple H. Jesus.
Who's he barely makes it look good. Like if you're gonna do it, that's the way you have to do it. And they're just like, we don't know how to use these. And then they're just flopping on the ground. I was like, was that a play school hammer? Just like painted? Like what the fuck was that?
That was I think if it had been more of like a rubber mallet, maybe you could get away with it being like not a murder weapon. But even then, I don't know.
Who's the poison pixie?
Candice LeRae?
Is that what that's who that was?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I didn't think it was her. I didn't know a lot of people's names because I haven't watched NXT in so long.
Welcome to Wrestling Podcast with your uncle, who kind of watches wrestling.
I specifically learned Dakota Kai's name so I can say how much she sucks. Basically, that's what I should tell you about this match.
You know, you guys, I will say I agree with you, but the thing is, Dakota Kai normally hits pretty freaking hard. This was more of an outlier than what she normally... I'm not telling you need to enjoy her, but it was strange, like, watching it. Like, you were upset. I think we were both upset, me and Ethan, because normally we've watched her just punt the hell out of people.
I was saying the chair shots is like, I'll give you the chair shots, but like...
When she smashed her in the trash can, that was cool.
Yeah. When it was it almost couldn't.
You mean she almost killed her? It couldn't get her out.
I don't know why she was trying to pull her out. Her fucking shoulders on the ground. Pin the bitch.
Well, the ref wouldn't have counted because the ref can't see the shoulders.
Yeah, the ref would have to count on the inside of the trash can.
I don't know. That was awesome. It was cool how she got stuck.
Also, technically, the shoulders are never touching the mat because they're in the trash can.
It doesn't matter. It's
not a false count match. It's not false count anywhere.
Guys.
Yeah, in kayfabe, you can't pin somebody like that. Like
whatever. I don't even know what kayfabe means.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just using words, right? Marks, right? Are we over? Are we doing it?
I think so, sure.
Let's get color.
Wade's just here to talk about Sting.
That's it. That's the whole reason I'm here right now.
We'll get there.
He needs more snow. It filled in his hairline so well.
It did look cool. We'll get to that. NXT.
Sorry.
Stay on track.
Sorry. But yeah, the trash can spot was so ridiculous. If it was any other match, I would have hated it. But just that it was just like, okay, it's like it's cool to see the women go hard, and putting a trash can and jumping on a bunch of other chicks. Like, it's cool. It's awesome. It looks like something Darby Allin would do.
Right.
So yeah, there are some positives, but it's mostly just like, I'm like, come on, like, kick her, hit her with the chair, like, do it. And like the only person that I was just like, whoa, like Leo Shirai was like laying her shit in, like that was cool to see. Leo Shirai.
Io.
Io Shirai, thank you. Later shit in. You guys like looked at each other when that happened. So yeah, like positives and negatives. But yeah, mostly the negatives. Like, is if you're gonna do it, my biggest complaint is that WarGames takes so long.
They've
It's
already
I mean, that's
cleaned
kind
it
of
down as much as possible. You got the 5-minute start, but then they go 3 minutes, and you know that if this was a main brand pay-per-view, it would still be like 5 minutes in between everybody coming in. Like,
But
they're
it's
like, we can't do a different
30
number.
minute build up for like a 15-minute match. It's just so long. So much build up. It's so much build up. But yeah,
I like a built-in, like, it's gonna be at least 35 minutes, but that's fine. My biggest like negative that I could take away is just it didn't live up to last year's, but that's because I thought last year's just had a perfect finish. With Rhea Ripley taking down freaking Shayna Baszler. Like,
my other complaint was everyone kept doing the same spot of getting flung through the ropes into the cage. I was like, man, that's like the 18th time I've seen that. Like we get it. Like, we get it. There's a cage around you. Like, quit doing the same thing. There are other ways to do it.
So I think it didn't live up to that one, and mostly just because there were those weird spots in the middle where they should have been hitting each other harder, and you couldn't tell how much was just not working with the other one. They were they seemed a little bit off in like the middle portion of the match, but then mainly it's just the finish where Ethan was talking about having Raquel Gonzalez kind of get over. I did feel like the end of the match didn't work that well. Like, but
they were all in the same ring for too long. Like it was like everyone in the same ring for too long, and then everything got real clunky, and they were tripping over each other, and like that. Like, I was like, that should have been the best part of the match. And when all contestants are in the same part of the ring, tripping over each other and fucking each other up, like, it was really obvious. And just like I'm like, just like, 3 of you go over there, and all of that works.
That's kind of when you wonder these matches. When you have upwards of once you get to 8 people in a match, like, it can be hard to coordinate. It can be really hard to really understand and choreograph, and that's kind of where you wonder: is it too much coordination or choreography, or is it not enough? Because I don't know what level they went into this match with. Is it just because like, these matches just turned into spot fests like pretty quick.
Did we lose Ethan?
Yeah,
still there.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that I think the finish was a.
Can you hear me?
Felt like,
am I here?
Oh, yeah, no. we can hear you. Could you hear us?
God damn it, son of a bitch!
All right, we'll let him keep cursing, and I think there was a moment at the end where the match kind of went off the rails, just like this podcast is right now, and it just didn't have the punch. But also, it's a similar argument I would make to a lot of the Shayna Baszler wins. When you have a heel like Gonzalez, that deflating finish is actually a good thing because you don't want to be super excited for that person to win. And I think with that, particularly with her, she is just that classic heel. Baszler was that classic heel. There isn't really that crossover like we see with, who we'll talk about next, Tommaso Ciampa, like the way that those characters are, you should feel deflated after they get a victory. And whether it was on purpose or not doesn't matter. I feel like it definitely felt that way with how the finish was. So what would have been a negative, I'm going as a positive. And then, we'll move on. We'll see if Ethan's actually made it back into the pod.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Sorry, I got a phone call, and I put everything on Do Not Disturb, but my phone doesn't understand what that means. So
you got to do airplane mode, man.
Oh, well, okay. I should do that.
I don't know if it like knocks out Wi-Fi. I
feel like it might knock out what I'm already doing. I don't know. Anyway,
whatever. We'll figure it out later. So, Ciampa versus a guy I didn't know his name until this match happens, Timothy Thatcher. Wade's already shaking his head no. Do we want to start negative? Ethan, I'll give you a break.
Yeah,
you can hear what Wade has to say.
Wade wants to talk about some things.
Wade, tell us what is happening with this match, because I think generally speaking, I was fine with it. This is another one of those ones where it got like 16 minutes. It didn't get shorted on time, but it also didn't feel like it ramped up to anything. So for me, I wasn't blown away, but I didn't have that big of a problem considering I didn't know who one of the competitor was coming in. And Tommaso Ciampa looked pretty cool with his entrance gear, but Wade was not happy with anything. So we'll let Wade explain why he was so upset with this match.
I didn't think it was possible for Tommaso Ciampa to have a bad match. Boy, was I ever wrong. That match stunk. Oh my God. Timothy Thatcher is where charisma goes to die, as well as talent. I've never seen such a piss poor European uppercut thrown in all my life. If your gimmick is you're going to be the guy doing all the shitty old school moves, you should at least be fucking good at the shitty old school moves, you fucking hack. Tommaso Ciampa looked like he was taking him to school. Like, he's like, oh, you're just going to watch Timothy Thatcher just work that fucking ankle over and over and over again. Tommaso Ciampa then goes fucking spins around. This is how you work a fucking ankle, you charismaless fucking desert. He's like if Oni Lorcan and Daniel Birch were bad.
Wait, Ethan, any responses?
I don't know. I was pretty neutral about this match, I guess. Like
and you've been convinced already.
I mean, honestly, that was pretty convincing. But no, I'll try and have a counterpoint of.
At one point, I almost got into it just because like the crowd noise and the announcers were losing their shit so much, and then I just noticed the crowd of actual live people behind them just like standing there with their thumbs up their asses. And
Wade almost got worked by a PA.
I did. I was just like, oh, this sounds exciting, and I was like, no, it's not exciting. They just tricked me.
Yeah, I've watched, and I did know who Timothy Thatcher was going into this, and I've still not been totally sold on him. Like like you said, I get the gimmick, and it's a cool idea, but he doesn't do anything for me. I thought that the highlight of this match is Tommaso Ciampa selling for him. I mean, I think he did everything to make this guy look as good as possible. Selling the neck injury and you're just, getting worked over, and anytime somebody's bleeding from the ear, that's already like a +1.
That was the only good part of the match.
That's the only part I like about Timothy Thatcher.
That was it. That was all I liked.
And then, a solid but kind of seemed like out of nowhere kind of finish. And cool stare down at the end. Like I imagine this is gonna, hopefully build to something better. Because I think this feud is pretty young, but I don't know what that something better will look like. Like this, I think this match was exactly as long as it needed to be. I think if it had gone longer, it would have been too much.
They need to send that guy back in time to fucking job for Ole Anderson.
I kind of missed Tim Thatcher's, come up with. That was kind of when none of us were really watching wrestling. I think it was when he kind of came on.
I just read that Kurt Angle was a special guest referee in one of the matches, and I'm like, what? That happened?
Yeah. Was it the match he had with Matt Riddle?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. So I meant to go back and watch that, and I didn't. So I don't know. Maybe that match was better. There's something about him that they want to work with, that they want to push. So, Wade doesn't see it.
Better hurry up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really, I don't know what's next for either of them. I want to see Ciampa in better storylines.
Yeah, for sure.
But
that's fair. Well, the next one where I assumed when Wade was shaking his head and making that grimace face, I assume this was the one he was actually thinking of. Dexter Lumis facing off with Cameron Grimes. And I don't know if you guys seen the meme where even the ref looks like he hates Cameron Grimes. And I assumed it was Wade taking over the ref's spirit and just infusing it with hatred for this man.
Well, boy, are you going to be surprised.
Oh my God, what is happening? I can't guess anything anymore. So this match, I think one of the big things for me was people were always talking about Dexter Lumis as this is a character that probably wouldn't have worked very well before the pandemic. But when you had such, quiet arenas, not as much sound, especially he was first getting going before they even had any fans out there. And there were it was these ominous just silences in the middle of his promos, in the middle of his matches. And you're building up this, I guess, serial killer. I still don't quite get the gimmick, but that's the one they're building up. Got a lot of positive rave reviews from people. And I was like, I like the idea. I like what people are pitching me, but I never stopped to watch it. And then I watched in this match, and it's like, I have to reserve judgment because I've yet to see a bad Dexter Loomis match that didn't involve some asshole named Cameron Grimes. So I want to jump to Wade right now and figure out what am I going to be surprised about? What was your opinion on both Dexter Loomis and Cameron Grimes?
Like I tried to like watch some Dexter Loomis stuff before this, and I kind of like the gimmick. If he didn't draw them, I don't understand what the hell that's about. Like, he's kind of really scary up until him drawing stupid caricatures. He's just like the buffest guy working at a fucking Worlds of Fun kiosk. I don't know why they had 2 straps. Can someone explain to me why they needed 2 straps?
No.
Because Cameron Grimes doesn't go anywhere without a strap. And if you're going to have a strap match, it has to be separate from the character's normal.
It would make sense.
In case one breaks.
It would make sense if Cameron Grimes' strap was like made of chains or barbed wire or like something like different.
Beef jerky.
Yeah, anything different.
Stop agreeing with all of the terrible things I'm saying about this character.
As long as it's not the same damn strap. Other than that, like, I don't know, Cameron Grimes seems like he has some sort of charisma and potential to be. He could be a really good like manager.
Timothy Thatcher, charisma vacuum. Cameron Grimes going places. Is what you're telling me right now.
I think he has potential.
What has the pandemic done to you?
Other than that, the match stunk to high heaven.
There we go. Back to something that sounds like me.
Yeah. Other than that, I was just like, this is a strap match? Like, they didn't even touch all 4 corners. That's what a strap match is, you dumbasses.
No, that's a Texas Bull Rope match.
It's the same match.
It's a different name. How could it be the same match?
The same.
Explain yourself.
The way a Falls County anywhere, and I don't know. Just name them all. They're all the same. They're all the same. Hardcore match. You can pin them whenever you want. All that shit.
All right. So, Ethan, now I need your opinion about I don't know, character ripped off from a Showtime series, and then you got what is, I assume, what was the guy who did all of the people that were with him? He had Braun Strowman. They did the long list of NXT guys that were his like walkout crew. Is the original like no way.
Adam Rose.
Oh yeah, this is hillbilly Adam Rose, and it's awful. So Ethan,
he's got a top hat.
Trying to figure out where you land on. Oh my god, furious. Ethan, explain to me why this isn't just awful and Wade's just messing with me, right?
First of all,
I'm not the only one.
I think you just got worked into a shoot, brother. By a guy who looks like an extra in Boogie Nights right now.
I'm a big shining star, brother.
I mean, yeah, every time there's a strap match, I'm like, great, it's a fucking strap match. Like, I'm never excited for a strap match. And as far as them building a story to make a strap match, I think that worked. Like, the video package for this was really good, as far as the whole theme being Cameron Grimes is constantly on the run and, you know, being a little bitch. Now that he can't get away, that's the whole point of this match. Okay, cool. But then what it boils down to, it's still a fucking strap match. But I mean, I thought there were some cool spots in it. I thought that these guys worked well together. Again, I don't totally know the Dexter Loomis character, but
he's Dexter.
I like it.
And then they just picked another last name.
I mean, I like his look. I like the way that he works in the ring. You know, as far as this match goes, though, it's a fucking strap match. Like, there's never going to be a good strap match. So, I really don't know either of these guys too well. So, like, it was really kind of hard for this being. I would have rather just been like a hardcore match, or I don't know. It's WarGames. You got cages. Use them if you don't want the guy to get away. But I don't know. I had no anticipation for this match, so I was relying on the video package only to kind of make me excited for it.
More serial killer stuff. Like it needs to be more serial killer.
Yeah.
I'd be real into it.
I think I can see myself like getting into Dexter Loomis matches in the future. As
He
far as
looks like
Cameron
a
Grimes
creep.
go, I have no idea. I've never really, and like that's the thing is like Cameron Grimes. What was in on the Indies? I think he was Trevor Lee. Was that his name? I don't know, but it
Sure.
was like I had always heard good things about him, but never watched him wrestle. And then it was like, oh, the first time I saw Cameron Grimes debut, I was like, oh, this guy kind of looks like shit.
He's
but-
Tucker Knight with no dignity.
I guess I care an equal amount about each character, so yeah. Yeah, it didn't make me feel anything. He's like, okay, so he's like a chicken shit hillbilly with a top hat. He does double stomp, which is a cool move. That's about the end of what I know about him that I like so far. I don't know, and then I guess if you're gonna do a strap match, I might as well choke somebody out with it. So yeah, that was my enthusiasm for this match.
Yeah, I'm completely out on Cameron Grimes. I think it's awful, and I'm disappointed both of you
That's
for
fair.
not being as upset at the character as I am. I think Dexter Loomis, it's a 50-50. The only thing I have left that I'm willing to give him a chance just because he's got the build, he's got a couple cool moves. I think there is, potential for the idea of the character, even if they have not delivered on any of it. He just has driver gloves as if that's what serial killers would use when they're murdering someone.
For choking, man.
Oh my God. So yeah, that's how you get caught. You're leaving DNA evidence, you idiot. So
yeah, tell that to OJ. He left the glove and didn't get caught. Fuck you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ethan.
So
I know that's where you're going with that.
The only thing left that's in his favor is that Vince can't get rid of the second name because he'll be like, just cut it to Dexter, and they'll get a cease and desist from Showtime immediately. So perfect.
Oh, no.
He gets to keep the full name.
He's gonna be Loomis.
Oh my
It'll
God,
be
that's
Loomis.
worse.
Yeah.
Good point, Wade. Good call.
And then Vince is
the only
gonna
good call
forget
you
that
made,
he ever saw a Halloween movie and just base the character off of that and think it's his own.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be pretty.
He's got black eyes like a doll's eyes. Loomis.
So yeah, that's awful, and I can't believe we spent as much time on it as we did. The next match, which I have, it was a little more enjoyable. I will have a little bit of nitpicking, but we got Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, and then I don't know who Leon Ruff is, but anytime you throw in a high flyer who's just going to add to a match where I know what I'm getting out of Gargano and Damian Priest, and that just adds a wrinkle to the match that I thought it was pretty good. There are still questions I have about all three wrestlers in the match, but the match itself, I had a pretty good time. What did you guys think of this triple threat with Johnny Gargano end up getting the victory over Damian Priest, who just keeps trying to beat him up, and then Leon Ruff, who just got in the middle of this battle between those two?
I like this match. I had a good time with it. I think that Damian Priest has a ton of potential to be really great. I really saw more of that in this match than I have in the past, and not that I just hadn't had much of an opinion on him one way or the other for a while. He's kind of like almost like a better version of what Baron Corbin was supposed to be, of just kind of like this rock star looking kind of guy, kind of like a vaguely dark, personality, but also he hits a razor's edge as his finisher, so that's a win in my book.
Yeah.
And that razor's edge that he hit on Leon Ruff, like donking down the barricade, was pretty cool. But then again, this kind of comes back to the whole like ring psychology thing of him being like so hung up on like, oh, I hurt this guy. I'm like, yeah, you're in a fucking match with this dude. Like, so I thought that maybe I'm misunderstanding his character. Maybe he's supposed to be this like person who is empathy is his Achilles heel. I don't know, but that seemed to be the thing that kept like slowing him down in this match, from a character standpoint. But I thought that he looked really good. I like his high flying for a guy that big to do that kind of like middle rope kind of tope that he does, and then just like a plancha over the top rope kind of towards the corner, like it's some good big man dive to the outside shit, which I think we need more of. And I like the outcome. I don't know I'm kind of over the ghost faces, but I don't really know. I thought that was just
You're
just a
over
Halloween
it?
Havoc thing.
I didn't even watch Halloween Havoc, so for me, it wasn't like I was like, "What is happening?"
No.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Well, and like that's the thing is at the end, it's like, oh, it's Austin Theory, but it's like, yeah, but there were like 6 of them. So like, who the fuck are these other guys? If
we'll
it had just
find
been
out
the
over
one,
time.
maybe not. If it had just been one, and it was revealed as Austin Theory, okay, that's a little more interesting. But
Spoiler: it's Retribution.
So that's awesome.
it was T-Bar all along.
I hear what you're saying, Ethan, with the just one person, but I think honestly, it doesn't need to be one. It just needs to be one revealed now, and it's like he was just saying the words because that's a good callback. Like I thought that was well done, like the wordplay. It's him saying
it was me, Austin, all along. I chuckled at it. It was funny.
I thought that was a smart move, and then you leave intrigue to figure out, okay, those other two are those people that you need to know going forward. I think that's good. I think that's a smart move. For me, with you mentioned it, Damian Priest being like a better Baron Corbin. I've been the foremost supporter of Baron Corbin, but honestly, if I just had to get rid of Baron Corbin to allow Damian Priest to run around doing a deep six and a choke slam backbreaker, I'd be willing to just cut rope on Baron Corbin and help Damian Priest out. That might be the thing. Otherwise, he needs a gimmick. And I don't know. It's like maybe he could put on some sort of mask. He could be like some sort of animal, maybe a lizard.
Like a dinosaur?
I don't know. But he can find some sort of gimmick that can kind of push him over the top. But I don't know what it is. We'll get him there. But there seems to be something missing. It might just be the deep six. But I think it's a dinosaur mask. Wade, what'd you think of this match? And specifically, you've heard our comments on Damian Priest. You don't seem to agree with the best way to get him over, but
dude, it's the perfect crossroads of Baron Corbin and Luchasaurus. How are you not a fan of this guy?
So I feel like if I'm just gonna ignore your guys' bullshit. I feel like if you would have had anyone in that match that wasn't Leon Rush, like Lily, like pick anybody. Anyone at
Ruff.
all, and
Leon Rush.
Whatever the fuck his name.
It's not Leo Rush. It's not babyface Leo Rush.
Oh,
it's not.
That's a good gimmick. He could be his brother.
I feel like you pick anyone else, and the match would have been much better. I thought he ruined most of the match. He's like the slowest cruiserweight I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It looked like he was running through sand. Johnny Gargano seemed to be pulling his kicks every time he'd go to kick him for some reason. I didn't understand that. I do like that Damian Priest has those big high flying moves. However, it looks ridiculous on guys that are 5'6". Like if he's fighting other big guys, I can see jumping off the top rope and doing that spinning heel kick. But when it's some little bitty dude that you're doing it to, it looks a tad ridiculous. I didn't like that. And then I don't know who Austin Theory is. So and also I didn't watch Halloween Havoc, so all of that meant nothing to me.
Austin Theory was the guy who
he with Rollins?
Yeah, he let him nearly let him die, and then I think he had some sort of Me Too movement thing
I think that's right.
Didn't get him fired, but got him moved back to NXT. But like, who was the one who did the flip and nearly died?
I think I thought him and Sammy Guevara were the same guy this whole time.
So I mean, there's some parallels, but it was freaking. My brain has just stopped working. I don't know names anymore. Tag team just faced the New Day. Freaking Montez Ford did a front flip over the top rope, and Austin Theory didn't even try to catch him. This was like right before he got like kicked down, and he thought maybe it was because he didn't, he nearly let this guy die. But no, it was like he had a Me Too movement thing, and they just kept him off TV for a while.
I was going to say that doesn't make sense because the Miz still has a job.
Yeah,
and he's never caught anyone.
Yeah, but you can't drop the guy that Vince has decided is doing the joke segments every week. So that was a bad move by Austin Theory.
But yeah, so like most of the match didn't really mean shit to me just because I didn't know who Austin Theory was. I thought Leon Ruff, excuse me again.
We're so awful right now.
Just
we
like
have to give up the podcast.
It's just
all the Wayne's critiques are like, I
bullshit.
know who these fucking people are, man.
It's a good critique.
There's
That's
not
part of
one
wrestling. You got to get over.
That usually works out in my favor of just going into something blind and going, you know what, that was actually pretty good. And I went into this blind and I was like, this is fucking hot garbage.
I don't know. I feel like the longer we were watching NXT, the more positive we had takes on these things. And then once we got to this never watching, now we're just like, this all sucks. Fuck all of this.
That's why we stopped.
I don't know. I think it's a back and forth. That couldn't be why we stopped. It sucked all the years we were watching it.
Yeah. I stopped because it was weird watching with no fans. That was why I stopped. It was like too much.
Yeah, it's still weird.
Just a little bit. Although, I don't know. I think that balance of what NXT is doing, I think the half of the Thunderdome, half of the fans, if they just didn't have that cage to rattle, and it's just like, stop it. Stop doing it, because I get what the effect should be, but all you're doing is like annoying the fuck out of me as I'm trying to sit here and watch this. And I barely see the cage move. I just hear it. It's just so loud into your ears. You're like, nope, stop doing that. But otherwise, I think having those fans there be that extra sound, you're getting what AEW had been doing there. And then I think the Thunderdome kind of puts it over the top. This is probably as close as I was getting to like feeling like that's a real pay-per-view. That's as close you can get without actually having 20, 30,000 streaming fans.
Yeah, you're right.
Anything else, Matt? I don't know what to do when you agree with me. I have no idea what the next step is. Yeah, that Leon Ruff guy. Awful, I guess.
I thought it was terrible. I really thought it was terrible.
We kind of just talked around the other stuff. How have you guys felt about Johnny Gargano going, full tilt as the heel character? And, we talked about it, different guys that were like, I think it was back when they had the belt pulled off of whichever Impact guy got injured, Karrion Kross. But like they had that 4-way match. You had Gargano, Adam Cole, Ciampa, and Finn Balor, and we were all like, who's the face? And we all picked different people, and I think Ethan might have said Gargano, and I think now it's like, I thought even then he was the least likely candidate, and now he's not even close. Like there would have to be something major to end up turning Gargano back, and with that, a couple months of it, I think he hasn't done anything that's super impressed me. There hasn't been that storyline that you're like, Gargano has found like kind of his stride as a character. But I do enjoy that better than kind of the diminishing returns of him being a face that he was at the end of that run, So I'd say it's a positive, but, similar to what we said about Ciampa earlier, be nice to see if they put him in something that works in terms of the character. You could argue it worked with Damian Priest, but I think between the two of them, something's missing on both of them. And I'm not sure what it is, but them going at each other. I enjoy watching them wrestle. Don't really enjoy seeing them argue, and the promo before the match did not sell me on the rivalry between Gargano and Damian Priest.
Well, kind of the lead up of it almost seems like the role should have been reversed, where like it would make more sense to have a babyface Gargano and a heel Priest, but that's been flipped, which kind of leaves it flat. And then they're like, I guess the injection, like the cousin Oliver of all of it, was supposed to be Leon Ruff. That was the whole like, all right, well, we're just going to spice this rivalry up a little bit, and it didn't really.
I thought it worked. I don't know about the rivalry. I thought it did the match. I had the exact opposite opinion of Wade on what he brought to the match. I thought it was fun.
I think I liked what he brought to the match. I don't think it does a lot for the Priest-Gargano storyline, other than just kind of make it more. It almost seems like you're looking at like a Leon Ruff, Damian Priest storyline and moving Johnny Gargano to something else. But I like what Johnny Gargano's done in the last few weeks of being a heel. I like his heel commentary, and it seems like it's flowing a lot better. Sting's on my TV. That's neat. That's
why we scheduled the podcast at this time, so I wouldn't have to tune in to AEW Dynamite on time and just be crushed, because I know there's way too many people that are so happy about watching this middle-aged man continue to put paint on his face, and they kind of
forgot what happened the last couple times he stepped in the wrestling ring, but that's fine.
Oh, come on,
it's okay.
Man. He's well over middle-aged.
And also Wade knows who he is, so It should be an interesting storyline for him to cover.
Not just that Impact guy.
Yeah.
That Impact guy.
He's that
Who's
dude that
guy
used
who
to
played
dress
the
like the Joker.
on Impact.
You owe me a Coke.
Oh man.
So yeah, it's really sad. I don't want to watch that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I do want to jump to the final match of NXT WarGames, the men's WarGames match. You have the Undisputed Era going up against a team that is just Team McAfee. I thought they'd have a fancy name. I know they were really hard selling this idea of the new Four Horsemen. So I know that's just got to piss Wade off. Like something that like I thought Wade would be on the fence about. The moment they were just doing all these Four Horsemen references, I just knew Wade would just crater. And now he probably hates Pat McAfee. But in terms of the match, I thought it was really good. I think that's about as good as you can do when you're already giving away one good wrestler to be Pat McAfee in there to kind of continue that gimmick. But I think in terms of what he's brought to it, me and Ethan have talked about this for a few weeks now. He's really taken to being a shit heel in wrestling very well, very fast. And, the only thing that can hold him back now is that he's just going to be, very inexperienced in the ring. But he's a good sport about taking an ass whooping every single week. So I'll give Pat McAfee props for that. And I think it's allowed. I don't think Undisputed Era, for me, other than like fans just rooting for them to be faces because they like them, but clearly everything about them is a heel. Like you saw a kind of change. You saw them start to be a little more the face, particularly with Adam Cole just getting pissed off at Pat McAfee, this big timer who's, kind of getting the rub from wrestling, but not really doing much for it. I thought that was starting to work. And then I think this whole rivalry has helped all of Undisputed Era finally make that turn like they hadn't been able to do in the preceding months. So at the very least, no matter what, I'm giving it that positive. But I'm going to ask you guys what you thought of it, not just the match, but this rivalry between these two. We'll start with Wade, who's giving me the deadpan face right now. I don't know which way he's going. Wade, take it away.
This Four Horsemen news comes as a shock, as I'm just finding out.
Oh, you didn't hear all the references during the broadcast?
I watched nothing. And I have never been so appalled in all my life. I've the last time I was this angry was when Ronda Rousey tried to do it, and I had to change.
I'm not sure if they're actually calling themselves that. It's just they made a lot of references where it's like he's the like Pat McAfee is being the money, and I think it was almost a joke. Him like, "Ha, I'm the Ric Flair," and that's just the extra piss off.
Yeah,
like
it's just like
fan.
Yeah, he's aiming for a target audience of about 500 marks that are going to lose their shit when he says that, and you're one of those 500.
Gotcha.
So he got you. He Baron Corbin'd you, if you will.
I think his team is such an odd choice for him and just for each other. Like Birch and Lorcan, like obviously like those two go together. Like they're great. But then like sticking Pete Dunne with them is kind of weird. But I get, but just all three of them are like such strange choices for him. I feel to be in his faction. I don't know who like would be better choices. But they just don't. Those three and him just don't seem to go together. I think Lorcan and Burst need to take fucking Thatcher under their arm and show him like what his gimmick's supposed to be. They're like, yeah, we're already doing it better than you, way better than you. Remember the Revival? They did it better than you. So other than
can't let it go. Just gotta keep going at Thatcher all night.
It's fucking ridiculous. Like I don't get it.
I don't know how Timothy Thatcher's name worked its way into the conversation of the main event at WarGames, but continue.
They found a way.
As always, I think Kyle O'Reilly's a gem.
Oh yeah,
he's so good. Like he just does,
even if he looks like a domestic terrorist.
He does. He looks like every single like North American.
I guess in fairness,
terrorist.
Every single person in this match, if their mug was with a story about kidnapping the governor of Michigan, I wouldn't be surprised at any of the faces. Like sometimes you're like, well, that looks a little weird. Like he just looks like a normal person. But usually there's something in the eyes. The haircut's weird. There's a problem with every mugshot you see. If you saw all of these mugs, not a single one would you question. You're like, yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
absolutely.
Pat McAfee, I might question.
No, his is almost the most because it's that undercut bullshit like Nazi thing. Like
flesh colored beards.
Yeah.
Odd. They're odd. But like as always, I think the Undisputed Era like delivered in a War Games match. Like I think War Games used to be known for like Four Horsemen and the Road Warriors. But like I think after being in four of them, like Undisputed Era and War Games go together just as well as the Horsemen and the Road Warriors. Like
Yeah.
it's at this point it's their match. Like just Hell in a Cell's Takers match. War Games belongs to the Undisputed Era. It makes me want them to be together forever. It makes me not want to see a War Games without them.
Which is also why I think the Pat McAfee, like any reference to the Four Horsemen is that much better, because that, like, if you were to pick one, if you were like, you don't need to like name them the Four Horsemen, but if like, if that's who is the modern equivalent, the Undisputed Era is doing that. And the fact that Pat McAfee puts together a team in like a week, gets them into a War Games match, and is already like just name dropping all of these references to piss off wrestling fans. I think it adds that much more, and it made me that much more excited when Pat McAfee did get his ass kicked in this match. Yeah. And I've enjoyed that. Like I don't know if you held the standard we've held for a lot of things that happen in wrestling. Every time we pick apart, like whether it's a Tyson Fury or any sort of celebrity that comes in and they just kind of look out of place, because even when you get athletes, they look unathletic when they're trying to like go around the ring and do the same things as wrestlers do, because they're not used to the same movements. And so you still see that with Pat McAfee, but I think for the most part, they avoided putting him in situations where it would kind of stand out too much. And they just kicked his ass. Like he stood back, hit as much as he could. And then when it was time for those spots, they did it. They had fun with it. And like I said, the last time when it was the Adam Cole one-on-one, like Adam Cole found a way to do all of his normal stuff. Didn't have to get rid of anything just because Pat McAfee could barely do it. And, I thought he would break his neck with his little neck breaker thing. Pat McAfee survived that. He survived a War Games match. And, going forward, I'm excited to see how often he can piss off wrestling fans and, continue to amp up, NXT, because he's brought, whatever audience. I don't know, how much he's working to successfully get a crossover, but every time he's talking about it on his ESPN YouTube show, like he is bringing a spotlight to not just WWE. WWE doesn't really need it. They try. They get the Miz on ESPN shows, and he sounds like an asshat. But like Pat McAfee is doing a great job of bringing positive publicity to the smaller brand that really does need it. When whether they stay on Wednesday nights, whether they move to Tuesdays, it doesn't matter. They need that crossover as much as they can. And Pat McAfee, just for that, is successful. The fact that he's actually being a part of the show and not dragging it down, he's in many ways, I would argue, raising it up. Kudos to Pat McAfee. Very rarely see somebody who has that limited experience be able to be that good from the jump.
On Monday, on his show, he was wearing a neck brace.
Good man.
It was really funny. I was just scrolling through YouTube and saw him in a neck brace, and I was like, "That's good work. I like that. That's funny."
Solid. Ethan, we haven't had a big take from you on this one. You're our War Games connoisseur. Did this live up to the expectations that you've put, where every year the only thing good left in your life is William Regal yelling War Games, and then number 2, you getting to watch War Games?
Yeah, I'm good. I talked about this last time too, how like the Pat McAfee heel work has been like some of my favorite, probably my favorite thing to watch in wrestling lately. And, I thought that this match was awesome. It had, 7 of the best workers in wrestling and then a newcomer. And that newcomer didn't stand out as, like a monkey wrench in the plans. Like everything went really smoothly. He got to hit a couple good high spots, do a couple, of his signature kind of work. And then other than that, just take an ass whooping. And he took it well. And hearing that he's wearing a neck brace outside of WWE programming is a nice touch. I as far as the stable goes, I think it makes sense as, there's 3 other guys who are all just kind of workhorses. It kind of makes sense for him to, as a character, surrounding himself with guys who can just go in any match and kind of do all the heavy lifting for him, like from a character standpoint, rather than just booking. So I get it, and also I'm glad to see that they found something good for Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan too, because I really have loved everything that tag team has put together.
Yeah.
And I think it was really good timing for them. And then also Pete Dunne, good timing there. And also Pete Dunne is fucking shredded out of nowhere. Like and his character is kind of the, silent killer type, which is easy because that, can be, very versatile. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It wasn't of the last 4 War Games matches. I don't think it was the best one, but it wasn't a bad match at all. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, and I would say, in terms of the stable and Wade's critique, I think a lot of that. I would say if we were like 6 months into it or something, but because it was put together so recently to head into War Games, it is kind of this mishmash. It is whoever, and then I think the way that you generally try to cover over the fact that this group seems a little odd together is, you get them in the same uniform, which is stupid whenever they do it. And a week later, they're in the same uniform. You're like, so you guys just randomly decided, let's team up. Let's beat people up. Also, let's order some shorts and some gear on Amazon, because it's like they shouldn't be turning it around that quickly unless it seems like they've been planning it a while. So I think it works, and I think over time, as you start to see them kind of meld together, what do they change their gear to look like? Because those are 3 characters. Pete Dunne's probably had the most success, but he's never really gotten over in terms of being this character that's in these really big storylines. He's in really big matches. He's in good matches, but they've never done anything with Pete Dunne where you're like, wow, that's a guy we can bring in front of Vince and he can get over the this short guy can really go thing. It's like you brought Pete Dunne. Like Triple H won't do it because he'll turn into Shorty G. So he's not going to do that to Pete Dunne right now, or Shorty G. But he's just not going to do it. I think at some point you do need to find whatever that gimmick is, or a storyline where you can kind of progress his character. And this is probably the best way, because Wade was given the negative. I still think the first night that they introduced him when they're surrounding Finn Balor, I loved the dynamic. Whether it seems like they match together, they are so good at what they do that you can't keep wasting them. And, Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan were 2 guys that I probably watched 4 good matches from them before I learned their names. I was like, those guys are good. I'm not going to take the time to know what you guys are doing, because you guys, they didn't even get tag team gear after wrestling 4 matches together. So now who knows? Maybe eventually the stable will figure out what their kind of flow is, what their gimmick is. And that might help, all 3 of them, because Pete Dunne probably had the most success, but he still needs to move up a level. And, Oney Lorcan and Burch were just kind of being wasted, and not somebody was at fault for it. They're not at fault. The people booking aren't at fault. They're just kind of generic looking guys who can really fucking go in the ring. So maybe this is the thing that finally gives them something else to do. So I'm excited for the stable.
I want to say my brother's nickname for Oney Lorcan, what was it? It was Basic White back in the day when he was a singles wrestler. He was just literally, he was like the default creator wrestler in a video game, just bald white guy in black trunks. And yeah, I mean, like because him and Burch started as a rivalry that builded into a team too. So it was kind of one of those stories. And then after that, there's that story could only go so long. So it's good that they have something else now.
It was like Sheamus and Cesaro, except it got no TV time. So
they were in pay-per-view matches. They did stuff.
No, but that's the thing. It's like they never showed them. It wasn't a big thing, but it was like, hey, these 2 can go, and throw them onto a takeover, And eventually, I know they hope to be more than that, and this could be the chance for them to do that. It's a chance for Pete Dunne to be more, and then Pat McAfee. He will, as much as he's trying to piss off wrestling fans, he will gain that extra cred if he starts getting, these 3 guys who nobody else could get over. If he gets them over, you become wrestling royalty, or smart royalty at the very least. So
yeah,
it should be interesting to see where they go from that. I thought all around, I thought it was a good War Games pay-per-view. I mean, even when we're ending, and Wade was completely negative on the women's War Games match, and both of us, we were like, it wasn't as good as previous ones. But it's hard to live up to some of those war games because some of those were really great matches. Last year was, I think, between the two, it was so hard to pick which one was better. That's how good both of those matches were. They were damn near perfect.
And
so
you can,
it's hard to live up.
As much as Wade might be fooled by the PA, you can only do so much without a live crowd for this type of match. Like ladder matches without a crowd are weird. Any cage match is weird. Like that is an element that I think is really important for this type of match.
Yeah, I think all around it was a good enough pay-per-view considering there were three. The fact that I'm giving a positive review and there were 3 matches in the middle where I was just like, "What the fuck is this horse shit?" Like that's a good sign. That's solid. And the only thing left to talk about, we got a few AEW things we need to knock off the list before we get on out of here. And do you guys want to start with what could be a positive in terms of Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley facing off if the winner is coming? Or I don't think the advertising was very good, but you get this big match between the two. And Omega ends up getting the victory, gets to take the belt off Jon Moxley, and maybe that means Kenny Omega is back on the rise as a singles competitor. And then the other thing just being Sting. Which one do we want to start with? Because
Sting!
All right, so Wade, you're the one psyched up for it. How do you feel about it? Because I didn't even know it was happening. You were the first one to put it on my radar, and it immediately left my radar, and then I still don't care. So, Wade, go ahead.
Well, you guys witnessed a shell of a man dragging himself out, face painted, hair slicked back, matted back, excuse me.
Yeah, we all saw The Undertaker's farewell, Wade.
I don't know what the hell he's doing. I'm just always going to be excited when Sting shows up somewhere and actually looks like Sting. He didn't have a dumb jacket on. His face paint was kind of cool. As I was saying earlier, it was snowing, and the snow filled in his crazy head of Nicolas Cage hair, and he went out and stared everyone in the eye for no reason. No one knows except whatever. He's speaking now on Ethan's television, so I guess
that was about 20 minutes ago. But
yeah,
he started. He said something ominous to Cody Rhodes and walked away, and Cody sold it well. I still don't care.
Ominous.
It was like, I'll see you down the road, kid, or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's gonna have
something very generic, sanitized that Sting would say. That's supposed to be dark, but is actually kind of sweet, kind of nice. Yeah. That's what Sting does.
I did see one critique that was kind of neat of how he went kind of corner to corner and started with went from Arn Anderson to Dustin Rhodes to Cody to Darby Allin, kind of generation to generation. He's like the U2 of wrestlers. Like he's still around and no one's interested anymore. But he's there and he's been there for generation after generation.
Yeah, I don't know. What odds do we put on that there's a Sting versus Mark Calloway match in the next calendar year in 2021?
I don't know. I think you got to talk to Saudi Arabia for that one. That's
no, because this is in AEW, man. Like that's what I think. I think now that the Undertaker character is finally retired, Mark Calloway doesn't have to feel bad about screwing over Vince and going to AEW. It's like
just wrestle as Mark Calloway.
Yeah,
God, like Ric Flair going to Impact.
Wade, how disgusted were you? How much vomit was in your mouth when I just said a Mark Calloway versus Sting match in AEW?
I was ignoring all of that and fantasizing about Sting smushing his face against the naked side of Dustin Rhodes' face, making him whole, and then Dustin Rhodes doesn't have to come out and prove himself to nobody every week. He can just go home.
Fuck are you talking about?
Passing of the torch.
Yeah.
The makeup
that's how
torch.
he does it?
I don't know.
They shove their heads together and it just pops into one fucking face.
Smushes. Yeah. They have to smush it. And
peel. He prints his like a peel, like a stick-on tattoo.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's how you want the career of Sting to end, is turning his face into a peel.
No, that's how the career of Dustin Rhodes ends.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's dark.
No, yeah. Yes, and then he flies away on golden wings. And then we get this match between Cody and Sting because that's what's going to happen, and it's going to be terrible. It's going to be so bad, you guys.
You know what's great though is what you just described. They're totally gonna sucker me in into carrying until it sucks. Like they're going to do Sting just abusing Dustin Rhodes. Cody's gonna try to save him but can't. He's gonna be out for however long. Then they're gonna have their retribution match, and it will be awful. And
and the Ghost of Dusty's coming. The Ghost of Dusty's coming and giving Sting an elbow, baby. Just you find
Hey man,
it.
after that Paul Bear hologram, I think holograms in wrestling are it's the next big thing.
Yeah,
it's the next Brock Lesnar.
If they're not going to do my goddamn hologram audience idea, they don't get to bring out holograms every show. It's bullshit. Vince needs to listen to my best ideas and take them. Stop taking all of our worst ideas that we're just sending out as jokes. Because that's all that's been happening.
I may have struck a chord here. I'm sorry.
So yeah, I don't know how much for Sting I should care. I don't. I won't. And they will sucker me in because they can. Like I'm very easy to trick, particularly if it's storyline. As long as they don't let Sting in the ring, I think they can trick me for a while.
And that's the thing is like that initial pop, the initial excitement is there, and like that's a good. But then you look at what the future fallout's going to be. It's kind of like when your racist aunt beats cancer. And you're just kind of like, oh, great, that's awesome. And then you're like, oh, wait, Thanksgiving is going to be terrible now. No? Just me?
You might be right. I don't know. I was trying to do the math in my head. I couldn't figure out whether it made sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, my racist aunt is hope he has a horse.
And see, why I was trying to think in my head was, as Wade said, unfortunately. So I don't know what my feelings would be in that situation you described, Ethan. But I do know that I don't care about. It's a lot like
when Sting returns in 2020 to TNT.
Yeah. So the last thing I do want to talk for one moment, and then we can get on out of here. The Omega becoming AEW champion, and that means the end of a pretty long run for Jon Moxley as champion. I think in terms of the storyline they were telling with Omega, I think it makes a lot of sense. And it's also, it's kind of like desperation because as much as he was the guy coming in, supposed to be can put on great matches, can do this and that. Like even when he has had good matches in AEW, that character has just been stagnant the entire time they've run this organization, particularly when you compare it to all the other, main players, all of the rest of the elite. He is not delivered. And even in the moments of that tag team with, Hangman, like it worked, but not because of Omega. And so they get to the end, they move him back as a singles competitor, and I think you kind of do just have to hotshot him to the top. I think generally you could make the argument he needs to work his way up into that scene, but I don't think so. I think it's as quick as possible, get him in there and see if you can reignite what he had a few years ago. And so I'm excited for that. I just don't know what it means for Jon Moxley because I think Jon Moxley probably had the most consistent run as champion. I think he delivered, good matches, some pretty good promos, and none of it felt like it mattered. And I'd make the argument that it's just because of the pandemic, because there are no fans, except I wouldn't make the same argument for Drew McIntyre over at WWE in a show that they have shitty writers. So there's those handcuffs, the same handcuffs that made Moxley leave WWE. He doesn't have those at AEW, and that wasn't able to save him and put on what I would consider a great title run. Looking back on it, while there are moments that popped, I don't look at this as this great title run, even though he had the belt for a long time to kick off his brand with America.
Half of his title run was feuding with Eddie Kingston, which was fine for a little bit, but
I don't think that happened that long. I think it just was a lot of matches in like 3 weeks.
Longer. Yeah, and I thought this was a good match. I thought that the build, like you said, I don't think it was well advertised enough to the whole like winter is coming. This is the whole,
It made me watch Game of Thrones, and I forgot to watch the show. I forgot to watch it.
It was like the day before and day of. I was like, oh fuck, that's happening. Okay, I should watch it. And it was a good match. I like the match. And I like that Omega wins. I like that you have a heel Omega. I like that it wasn't a no holds barred match because I feel like for a while it's kind of starting to seem like Moxley is too reliant on having a hardcore match. But I don't think that he is. It's just all he's been in are hardcore matches, so it's easy to make that claim. Because he's put on great matches that weren't hardcore matches, but That's just what he's known for. So, every title match as the world champion can't be a no holds barred match. Eventually you have to put on a match like this with a guy like Omega, and yeah, it was a good match and it was the right finish. And then you have Don Callis and Kenny Omega running away to Impact, and I immediately stopped caring. I think that Impact is where wrestling fans go to learn how to hate wrestling. I think that it is the worst fucking thing in wrestling today. I tried tuning in like 3 different times, couldn't do it, couldn't sit through a single segment. Tried watching recaps of the stuff that I was interested in, the Omega stuff, couldn't even watch that. Josh Matthews on commentary literally like hits a certain note that makes you want to just go live in the woods far away from technology. There's just nothing. There's
Josh Matthews is like Michael Cole without a leash on.
I don't even want to say that. It's like I don't even know how to compare. I can't compare anyone to Josh Matthews. He's just the fucking worst. And the biggest heroes on Impact TV are all dudes from the original ECW era, like Tommy Dreamer and Rhino. And they're one of their top heels is Eric Young, who has a pile driver that no one can kick out of, and it's just oh my god, it is.
Said that like you don't believe it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And I liked Eric Young when he was Insanity. It's nothing really against him. It's just I don't understand what the appeal is of Impact. When people tell me they watch Impact, I don't know why they do that. There are better things to do on a Tuesday night. Like, I don't know, fucking anything. Like, I'm at a loss for words of how much I fucking hate Impact. And it's the thing. It should be easy. It should just be like, well, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. No, I'm mad that it's out there and that somebody might accidentally stumble upon it and be like, oh, you like wrestling? Like, yeah, I fucking love wrestling. They're like, well, I turned on Impact. Like, that doesn't fucking represent me. That's garbage. It's hot garbage. It should be lit on fire. I'd rather watch Sting on AEW.
Solid.
I'm mad about it.
I was going to jump in and go off of your point about Moxley, relying too much on matches with stipulations.
Talk about something happy.
Well, I mean, you jumped into Impact, and I know we were going to let Wade, try to circle back to it and talk about it. So, Wade, I'll let you pick which one you want to talk about. Either, Moxley, his title run, Omega, what he can do now that he's champion, or how that can get derailed by Omega trying to do Don Callis a favor, and it's expensive favor to get pumped in with Impact.
I choose that one because I try to think of all the successful things Don Callis has been attached to, and I can't think of anything. Nothing. He has done
Kenny Omega
nothing.
Is the answer.
Kenny Omega.
That's the thing he's been attached to. That's successful.
As of right now, or as of that moment, we don't know what's happened to him since then. COVID's out there right now, man. Don Callis is just out there being bad luck to everything he touches. Yes,
I'm just saying they were friends. Though, they were like friends during the New Japan time. So that's all I'm saying. Is like that was the only thing he was connected to that was successful was Kenny Omega during his successful years.
But somehow not even Don Callis' hand can kill Impact. That shit should have died back in 2006, and it's still going. I'm
gonna go like 2010. There were good matches with Samoa Joe, AJ Styles from 07 to 09.
I don't know what years they were active. I'm just saying numbers here. It could be any day. It shouldn't even be a thing. It's awful garbage wrestling.
Once Jeff Jarrett is your world champion, you should just cancel the whole fucking thing.
They had good matches after Jeff Jarrett became champion. I'm just saying. They completely went to hell in 2010. That was even when AJ Styles and Samoa Joe couldn't make segments work. Like the way you were describing that, no matter what was going on. Like if you're telling me I have to get rid of those matches to stop what I'm seeing now, this train wreck, I guess fine. Sorry, Samoa Joe and AJ Styles losing your prime. My bad. But otherwise,
they're just gonna go to New Japan. They'll be fine.
Maybe. New
Smo
Japan
Joe's an
wasn't good
announcer.
at that time, man.
Tell that to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
Wrestling
know when he was there.
sucks. Wrestling sucks. I
God.
hate everything. Um,
Wait, I want to
Impact-
hear specifically about how you felt about John Moxley's title
Great.
reign.
I just missed Shaq's segment.
Son of a bitch.
Tell me you're just making stuff up now.
No, that I literally it was on and I don't know what happened, but
But it's like Shaq on TNT NBA, not like Shaq on AEW, right?
no, it's Shaq like speaking with Tony Schiavone and Brandy Rhodes, I think.
Yeah, man.
Wade, how'd you feel about John Moxley's title run?
I feel it was better than his WWE run, but not much better. I mean, he didn't really do anything. I think he has pigeonholed his career kind of like a Mick Foley or a Dudley Boy, where we do want to see these hardcore matches.
Dudley Boy.
Dudley Boy. Like, no one wants to see the Dudleys not break a table. Like, no one wants to see Mick Foley not get hit with a chair. Just like I don't know. I want to see John Moxley do crazy shit, and that's just kind of he's pigeonholed himself, which is fine, but not a good world champion that does that make. So
Are you saying
I
Mick
still
Foley
like
wasn't
him.
a good champion?
Well, how long was he champion?
But that's a decision by management. I don't think it's like, oh, his title runs off, we'll pull the belt off him.
Well, if he was that great, it would have been longer.
I'm gonna
How
say
long-
Mick
Vince
Foley
McMahon
was.
How long was
bootlicking
Hogan
ass
champ?
kisser up in here. What the
How
hell
long
is
I'm
was
gonna
this?
Hogan
say
champ?
Mick Foley was less reliant on weapons than John Moxley. I'm gonna say that, making that claim.
Bruno Sammartino was champion for 34 years.
You might
Not
be
one chair shot. Not one chair shot.
All right. So this is what I wonder. You talk about pigeonhole. That's kind of like a reception, though. That's like the narrative, how fans end up feeling, which is fine. I'm not saying they can't have
It's
their
Darby
feelings about
Allin's
it.
future.
But when you're watching Moxley in stipulated matches, which he's had during the title reign,
Yeah.
did you feel that way just as like, I don't want to see this? Or was Moxley like, objectively, or it's still subjective, but, less about your feelings and more about the actual content? Was he just not good at putting on a wrestling match that doesn't involve tacks and chairs and tables?
It's not that it's.
I'm not saying he's incapable.
Made an
I'm saying he's better when his leash is taken off, and he's much better. It seems
That's a good way to put it.
He cares more about the match, and he's willing to put more into a match where he has freedom to do whatever he wants.
They're saying he doesn't care about the stipulated matches, which means you are seeing something that is inherently lesser in regular matches.
Yes, it seems like he himself is less into them.
Wait, Ethan, you're probably the only one that actually fully watched him do the New Japan matches. Or I guess maybe Wade did too. When he was fighting those when he first went over there. Is there something lesser about John Moxley's work when he's not in some sort of hardcore match?
That was right when he got right out of WWE, so he seemed to be really into it, just to be free.
And that might have been part of it. I think there is a different gear, maybe. I don't know if it's that it's lesser, but it's just a different style of match when he has that ability to do whatever with whatever. Mm-hmm. But no, he's fully capable of putting on great matches without those stipulations. I think that part of it is that there were just so many, and that it became, the fan favorite of, if you're going to watch a John Moxley match, you want to watch him, with barbed wire and chairs and tacks and everything. But I think that maybe there just weren't enough non-stipulation matches for people to really see it.
Yeah, I think for me, there's something missing in matches where he's just going mano a mano. And if there's not something that ends up happening that's kind of that extra pop, like I thought this back when he was with WWE, I thought maybe it was just the WWE training. I thought, it's just like it's been a while since he's on the indies, but even going back to look at some of his indie matches, he doesn't have that gear that I think the Kenny Omegas have. That you take all of the indie darlings, and then the opposite, the other side would be somebody like a Cody Rhodes who's telling a story in the ring. I don't know how often John Moxley's told a good story that didn't involve ripping somebody's face open with, some sort of sharp object. I think those are the best stories he's told. Those are the things, even when he's telling a version of, him being the standard bearer in AEW. I think none of the promos were bad, but none of them meant shit. Like, I don't think he ever, I finished watching a promo and thought, I'm glad he got away from Vince McMahon's, such good shit stuff that he always gave him, it seems weird. It's like, I'm not saying Jon Moxley's wrong about all of his critiques of WWE. I feel like he might be, at the end of the day, the wrong messenger, because he's not somebody who's going to deliver this, just pure wrestling that he's talking about, that, once he gets Vince out of the way, once he has to stop, catering to that style of wrestling that he despises. I'm not sure what Jon Moxley puts on without the chains, without, somebody reining him in. I don't think it works. I think I like him better, but I still think, when we've talked about this before, AEW saying, well, we don't have writers, we're not going to, and I think that's stupid. I think trying to do the exact opposite of WWE to prove a point is a bad idea. I think it's good not having Vince be the final say over what writers are saying. But even Jon Moxley wasn't saying the writers were the problem. It was Vince was the problem. So when you're at AEW, you should have writers. They shouldn't be the end-all be-all. They shouldn't script every segment. But there are so many guys, and I don't know how much Jon Moxley would necessarily take away from it. But even when I just think back to CM Punk describing his interactions with The Rock, setting up their feud, they got into a room, and while CM Punk had his way, where he's pretty good at writing his own promo, there are guys who can't do that, though. And who do you have there? You have The Rock with good writers that are feeding you great lines, and you kind of figure out what you think works. What would, how would you say it? But having guys who can structure it more, I think would really help somebody like Jon Moxley. I think his biggest problem is everything is kind of this basic, bare bones Eddie Kingston rivalry, where it's like, I get the emotional appeal they're bringing, but it just doesn't feel fantastic. It doesn't feel, if I'm comparing it back to WWE, it doesn't feel like what Roman Reigns is doing as the big kahuna, being the tribal chief. Like most of the time in WWE, it fails because Vince over puffs it up. But I still think there's a version of it when Vince isn't making all the wrong decisions that is a great form of wrestling. And I think that's what Jon Moxley's probably missing the most. He's missing that level of pageantry that Cody Rhodes finds a way to make happen every time. But Jon Moxley by himself hasn't been able to do that.
Dang.
My hottest take.
It's a hot take, Wade.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I think Jon Moxley, just doesn't give a shit unless he has it all his way. But I did see that fire out of him, like in those first couple New Japan matches after WWE, where New Japan also has that strong style where he can go out there and kind of be stiff and kind of smack the shit out of people and be smacked back.
Is anybody stopping that in AEW? I guess there's not as many people who are going to smack him back, but nobody's stopping him from doing a strong style in AEW.
I'm sure there's some people going, hey, take it easy, man. You don't need to be slapping me in the nipples quite so hard.
Going with the same people that are not as
take it easy, man. It's Wednesday night television.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess that's fair.
And then he goes.
I guess my problem
thumbtacks their faces.
Not to do a second long monologue, but the main thing for me is you're talking about him. No, I'm going to keep it short. It's Wade talking about he had that fire. When I've seen him have that fire, I still don't think it's lived up to what I think most fans would expect it to be when you are, freed of the chains of Vince McMahon. Yeah. I think that fire hasn't been nearly enough. And that's my biggest problem with it. Like, if it was just, he's kind of, oscillating, he's bringing down the gear a little bit because you can't go Jon Moxley 100 miles per hour every week, that's fine. But I think even at his best, I don't think it's as good as a lot of the other best wrestling that's been happening over the last year.
It's like Jon Moxley's career is like the end of The Graduate. When it's like he has that big moment of storming in and running out of the church, and he's like, "We're free, we're gonna run," and they get on the bus, and then they just kind of have that realization of now what? All right, well, this probably is as exciting as the last 5 minutes of my life.
That might be a perfect description. That might actually be Jon Moxley where he's at. It's like, I can't argue it's not good, but yeah, it's like you get to the end of The Graduate and that feeling that the character has.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I have every time I watch John Mulaney. This should be the best thing ever. It's kind of not.
I have been called the Ric Flair of analogies, so.
Yeah, I think you said that. And then somebody else might have said it.
Also, now I've got my
really
now I've got my live stream title card for next week all planned out. Just got to write that one down.
Well, does anybody have any other wrestling things last moment? We didn't do the thing we do at the beginning of the show. What's the best wrestling you've watched since last time we talked? And I try to do the, don't name something we already talked about, try to go outside of it. But for Wade, I will lift that rule because I doubt he's watched anything other than the NXT WarGames since last time we talked.
I have news that I liked. I watched a video where it was announced that the Undertaker will now be like working at NXT as like a coach, and I think that's a wonderful place for someone as good as him to be.
Yeah,
that's pretty solid. Yeah, I like it.
Especially with a guy like Damian Priest down there, that'd be a good guy to pair him up with.
Yeah, it'd be good to have somebody that's not Wade telling him, yeah, don't do that fancy high-flying shit to little guys. Like Undertaker is going to slap Wade with that freaking advice for Damian Priest.
Undertaker is not going to waste that shit on a little dude.
He hit flying lariats on Shawn Michaels.
Barely.
Ethan, go ahead. Let's get the hell out of here. Give me what your best wrestling's been since the last time we talked.
Oh, man. It's probably going to be something that we watched, honestly.
Well, once again, try to think of something that's not in the show.
As I've had the TV on mute, the Young Bucks had a pretty solid tag team match to kick off AEW Dynamite this week. So go check it out.
Weird.
It's about an hour old.
You had the option. You could either pick Sting, you could pick Shaq, or a Young Bucks match.
Hey!
Strange what won out. I didn't even watch it, and I picked the Young Bucks match. I think it's the best thing that I've heard about while on this show tonight. So that's all we have for this episode of Making a Mark on the Tell Me More podcast. We will be back sometime. I haven't even looked at the pay-per-view slate. I assume something will happen that kind of matters.
TLC is a week from Sunday.
Wade's not coming back until Royal Rumble. That's where we're at right now. So thanks to the fans for tuning in, and we'll end the show with one plug from Ethan. Give it your best of trying to talk Lawrence folks into finding your services for dog training and other such things.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this. Check out Sunflower Canine on Facebook. We provide all canine services such as training, grooming, daycare, boarding, advice, tips, retail, etc. So check us out.
That was a great promo. I want to watch Ethan versus Cody instead of Cody versus Sting. That mostly has to do with how bad I don't want to watch Sting. But that's it. That's all we got for this episode. We'll be back sometime in the future. Who knows? Later, Marks.